I'm Alessandra Barrett, Associate Director of Special Projects at the Journal of Commerce by S&P Global, and I'm at TPM24 with Michael Rentz, Chief Revenue Officer at Gnosis Freight. Michael, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
There are a lot of visibility tools out in the market right now. There's certainly a lot of talk about visibility. What Gnosis is bringing to the table is more of a holistic life cycle approach baked into the tools that you offer. Can you talk to me a little bit about what that really looks like?
So we've created our own new category. We call it Container Lifecycle Management. The simplest way to understand it is it's a combination of visibility plus, most importantly, execution. So with a traditional visibility platform, most of the time you just log in and it's just a business intelligence tool. So you can see your data or see fancy charts, and then when it comes time to action that data, you need to leave that system and go into another system to execute that. With Gnosis, our assumption is that our customers can do their job from within our portal. So it's a combination of visibility plus execution.
So can you walk me through how tech is actually being integrated into the business operations?
Tech in logistics can sometimes not be the best word. You know, people are very apprehensive about tech due to long onboarding times. It's very clunky. You're not always getting what you bargained for. And a lot of the times that's because people don't want to change the way that they do things. But our founder and CEO, Austin McCombs, in 2017, when he started the business, the underlying assumption for everything that we were going to do, we had no idea what the product was going to look like, but all he knew was the foundation was an idea that we were going to use technology to unlock change management instead of change management to unlock technology. So for example, a big traditional software system, you purchase it for all of your employees. In order to utilize it, those employees need to change everything that they do. You have to jump into their system, which can be very clunky. You're not going to get the adoption you bargained for. It's expensive and time consuming. The opposite of that, which is what we utilize, which is the technology is used to unlock the change management. So there is virtually no change management when you log in and use Gnosis. It looks and feels like the systems that people are already used to using, which in our business is typically Excel. So it's a tabularized arrayment of information, our data, their data, in a way that they're used to working. And so they log in, they keep doing the job that they're used to doing. It's easier. And the next thing you know, a month, 90 days, 6 months, there has been change management.
How do different customer needs impact what you offer?
That's a great question. It depends on who the customer is. And then the customer itself is not a monolith. And so what I mean by that is you have the operators, at a BCO, whose job it is to keep the containers moving, to manage the exceptions. You have somebody in finance whose job it is to aggregate, financial reporting. You have somebody near C-suite whose job it is to manage a larger section of the business. And then outside of that, you have different types of customers in general. So you could have freight forwarder NVOs, truckers, drayage providers, ocean carriers, technology providers, all of which are customers of Gnosis. And so when you think about our business, I think the easiest way to think about it is there are two dimensions, two sides to our business. It's our data, which are our own proprietary connections. We make that available as a product via API, and then our software, which is where we help our customers replace the old standard operating procedure, which, as just mentioned, is emailing Excel spreadsheets back and forth. And so I explain all that to say, depending on what type of customer you are and where you are in that organization, the way you want to engage with the data that we provide is different. And so our software is configured in a way to be most conducive to the job that that individual or that organization wants to be done. So a little bit more context. An inbound logistics manager at a big BCO cares about the entirety of the life cycle of the container. So the moment the PO is cut until the empty container is returned, they care about any and every milestone, as well as any and every process to avoid the exceptions. Now, if you're a drayage carrier, you're primarily going to care about the ocean terminal, rail terminal milestones, when the container is available for pickup, the last free day, is there a hold, et cetera. The other processes are important, but they're going to want to prioritize the milestones, are what I call the expensive milestones for that entity itself.
You and I are currently working on a white paper that looks at the shift from an approach to more of a milestone exception outlook to a more of a container lifecycle management look.
Right.
What do you think is most misunderstood about the need for that transition?
Initially, customers came to us and wanted accurate ETAs. And so we worked to provide accurate ETAs, distinguishing the difference between when a vessel says it has arrived, when everybody knows it's anchored in the harbor or idling in the ocean, versus when it's actually pulled up to the dock and received a berth. But after working with those types of customers, primarily the BCOs, we figured out that they wanted accurate ETAs in order to perform internal calculations to find things like the last free day, which is probably the most expensive milestone on that container's journey. We had that due to our direct connections to the terminals. So once we found that out, it's like, hey, you don't actually need ETAs. It's important. What you need are these milestones, which we have direct connections to. And then that changes everything from a work management perspective, time, money, et cetera. And so the key that picks that lock is latency, because some people have that, but they use it through an intermediary where a milestone at a place like a port terminal, rail terminal, you have to have the lowest possible latency, because if it's 8, 10, 12 hours, it becomes obsolete. And people ultimately want to use data. They don't want to see data. If you're looking at data, something went wrong.
Michael, thanks for taking time to sit down with me today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
I've been speaking with Michael Rentz, Chief Revenue Officer for Gnosis Freight.